welcome to another week of Soap Secrets. We are going to be talking all things Holby and Casualty. And joining me today is Victoria Wilson. Hi, Victoria.
Hi, Hannah.
Right. Jac is on the warpath this week and clashes with Hanssen.
Yeah, you could say it's a clash of the Titans. Most
Quite literally,
certainly.
yeah.
Yeah, as so Jac Naylor and Henrik Hanssen kind of find themselves in a bit of a Holby face-off, you could say. But this is all good. They're two of our favourite characters, so it's great for us. So obviously we know Jac was recently revealed as Holby's new Director of Improvement, I think is her title. And she's keen to show everyone this week who's boss. And so she shuts down AAU. She literally has everyone carting out their belongings. There's no patience. The ward is shut.
Hang on a minute. That can't happen. It's not the end of Holby yet.
There's a good reason. So basically the urgent care ward has been mothballed so that Jac can direct much needed funds from there towards this pioneering neuro trial she's working on. Well, that's the plan anyway, as far as Jac's concerned. However, she doesn't really bank on Hanssen getting in her way. And he immediately retaliates by redirecting patients up to her ward, Darwin. So that's fun for a moment. You've got all these sort of cardio patients, and then they're bringing up all the Ange gets a bit between her teeth, and she brings up all the other patients from AAU and said, well, they need to treat them somewhere, so we'll treat them here. Jac's properly incredulous, but you know she's always up for some banter, and there's some funny scenes where she actually sort of takes the opportunity to show how brilliant she is by treating all these patients immediately herself so they can be discharged. She resets, I think someone's got a fracture, and she kind of resets that within about 30 seconds and says, right, what's next? She's just amazing. However, she takes a slightly different approach when Carol Copeland, Dom's mum, she's admitted needing urgent surgery. I think she had another fall again or something. Obviously, we know she'd just been recently diagnosed with dementia, but, you know, she has injured herself and she needs sort of operating on. Now, we all know that Jac can't afford to lose Carol because since her dementia diagnosis, she's been deemed a suitable patient for this neuro trial. So when Jac suddenly then allows the team to operate on Carol on the now defunct AAU, Hanssen smells a bit of a rat. He knows Jac well, very well, and he knows she doesn't do anything for sort of truly altruistic reasons. And he sort of asks her, they have a bit of a heart to heart, and he asks her why she's so hell bent on making the trial a success. And he's kind of taken aback when he uncovers the real reason why Jac's back at Holby. There was always something going on in the background. We know that.
There's going to be some kind of big discovery, and you're not going to tell me what it is, are you? You're going to leave me hanging.
No. All I will say is, you know, they're friends, and you're sort of left wondering, will Hanssen be the person who can help her get the funding she desperately needs?
Okay, it's not the only storyline. Of course it's not. It's Holby. Evie is a big storyline this week because she's blackmailed.
Yeah. And this sort of ramps up. It's been a few weeks now since Jenny Sinclair, the scheming Jenny Sinclair, Director of Funding, she has strange ways of directing her funding, as we've discovered. And it's been a few weeks since she pushed young Evie, Fletcher's daughter, into the arms of her wealthy older male friend Rich. And it seems Evie's now having second thoughts about the relationship. There's actually quite a worrying scene where it's revealed Evie has bruising on her wrists. So we know straight away that this is not a healthy relationship. So innocent Evie, she confides in Jenny that she's kind of tired of these so-called parties and she wants to do other things with Rich. She's looking at this with rose-tinted glasses. She thinks this is an older man who's genuinely taken a shine to her when it's obviously so much more. Jenny, however, can't let Evie jeopardise her sort of seedy money-making sideline. So she sees a way to keep Evie on side when some incriminating photos come to light. She basically shows Evie the photos, and it's like, oh, you know, neither of us want these falling into the wrong hands, do we? And sort of starts leaning on her. So against her better judgment, Evie agrees to go to more of these late night parties. And there's a caveat this time. She has to take her underage friend Mia with her.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And that's Donna's daughter, by the way. So everyone is embroiled in this, whether they like it or not.
This is really such a seedy, grotty storyline, isn't it? I mean, I'm sure it is a real life thing that goes on that, you know, we're all a bit sort of, you know, I don't know, unaware of, I guess. Well, not unaware of, but, you know, it's not an everyday thing, is it, we see? But I guess it does go on, and it's just absolutely grotty.
It's obvious. They're obviously taking a bit of a sort of softly, if you can, approach at the moment. But you know, this storyline is not going to end well. So you're sort of watching and wondering where it is going to go.
But I suppose also it's kind of making people aware, raising awareness that this can happen to anybody, and that it can creep up on you, and that it might be right under your nose and you don't even notice it. I mean, I think there is a valid, you know, like soaps do try and tackle issues, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very telling as well. We don't see Fletch at all in this episode, and I think that's sort of meant that you've got Evie and Jenny, and it's very much the two of them, and it's very much their secret, and Fletch won't know. But boy, would I want to be a fly on the wall when he finds out.
When he finds out, yeah, exactly. And the lovely Kylie not having a good day.
No, I've really grown to like Kylie. She's just such a lovely character, such a warm character, and she's one of those people who doesn't seem to have much luck generally.
No.
She gets a bit of a blast from the past this week when Mel turns up. Who is this Mel? Well, the women clearly sort of know each other, but let's just say things that aren't exactly friendly between the pair. Mel seems like the sort of woman who thinks she's sort of all that, and at the first opportunity she sort of tries to belittle Kylie about her job, and Kylie's already feeling a bit sore that the team appear to have forgotten her birthday. Obviously there's a lot going on AAU anyway, so Kylie just kind of rolls her sleeves up and forgets it and carries on working. Her day goes from bad to worse, however, when she learns that Mel is she's not only got a job at Holby, so she's going to be seeing a lot more of her, but that she's also Louis's girlfriend. Now, as we know, Kylie's had a bit of a sweet spot for Louis herself. So, you know, it sort of knocks her for six, really. This is this is the start of a whole new storyline. What is the dynamic going to be like between the two of them, and obviously with Louis thrown in the mix? But as I say, Kylie is such a lovely, warm character with a really kind heart. So we have a feeling we're not really going to take to this Mel. She's got a lot to prove.
She's got a lot to prove.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all going on. In all of the soaps this week, there just seems to have been, you know, lots of storylines running alongside each other. So really ramping up. It's great.
Yeah.
Absolutely love her.
Holby's really good. And obviously it was the episode on Tuesday night was the episode where Jac returned and Twitter lit up. She is Holby. And viewers were delighted. It was the injection that viewers needed. Obviously, with the sad news recently that it is going to be axed next year. She is just what the doctor ordered.
Very good. But maybe we can still save it. Anyway, let's leave that there.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Victoria. We are going to now talk to Claire. Hi, Claire Ruck.
Hi, Hannah.
I like to introduce you with both names. Casualty.
Yes.
Okay. So this is the second of the two-parter, and we left last week's with a pretty big cliffhanger, didn't we?
Yes. So I couldn't say that last week, what was going to happen. So
you never can, Claire.
But it was a massive cliffhanger. I left it that Matthew was taking Phoenicia to her wedding to lovely Ethan. Would she get there on time? Well, and Lev had been to the police station with his partner Xander to say exactly what happened with Sam. And actually, these two storylines actually converged at a level crossing, Hannah. So last week's cliffhanger was that Lev was on one side of the level crossing. The barrier is down, Hannah. The barrier is down. There's a trainer coming. He's just waiting politely for the train to pass and for the level crossing barrier to raise and for him to go on with his journey. So he's sitting there quite just waiting. And on the other side of the barrier, a car comes barreling down this slight hill, fails to stop at the barrier, crashes through it and spins around and stops on the level crossing with the train coming, Hannah. And that's
I just knew that this journey to that wedding, it was just so going to go wrong. Just had to, didn't it?
Yes. So that's where we were left on the Saturday night, and I'm sure everyone took a big gulp of red wine to get over that one, going, what happened there? So you're going to need a goldfish bowl this week.
You know my favourite tipple, Claire.
It's my favourite tipple too. So, and I've got the goldfish bowl out for it. So this week it's goldfish bowl red wine. So yes. So we rewind a bit on this second episode to see how exactly that car came to crash through the level crossing barrier. And so Matthew did agree to give Phoenicia a lift to the wedding. He was a bit naughty, Hannah. He did a bit of it should have been mean. He stops the car and says, don't marry Ethan, leave him and run away with me, because, they were 8 years ago meant to get married and she left him at the altar and ran off. So he does all of that and he tries to persuade her, which I think is a little bit naughty, really, since he did agree to give her, a lift to the wedding when she was in a bit of a crisis. So she says, no, I want to marry Ethan. I'm not. You'll always be, you'll always have a small place for you in my heart, but Ethan has my whole heart. This is where I want to be. So he agrees finally to take her to the wedding, and so they're running a bit late. And yes, so it is their car that crashes through the barrier and spins around. And the train is coming, Hannah. The train is coming. Now, Matthew managed...
Yeah, they're basically all on the level crossing at this point.
Well, we know that Lev is fine on the other side of the level crossing because he's waiting. He's just waiting, and he sees the accident happen. Now, we all know what Lev's like. He's action man and he's a trained paramedic, so he's going to do what he does. He gets out of the car and goes to help, with no thought for himself, because there is a train coming. You can hear it tooting. So Matthew manages to get out of the car, but he's got they describe it as an old banger, and I'll be honest with you, Hannah, me and cars, I can just generally tell you the colour. And
it's got four wheels and it goes. Yeah, I know.
It's a sports car and it's not a modern one, so it's possibly 1960s, 1970s. So it's taken a knock. The door sticks and the seatbelt sticks. They're not like modern cars where doors perhaps open a bit quicker and seatbelts are a bit more freer in an accident. It's got one of those really old-fashioned ones, and it all sticks. And we've got to get Phoenicia out of the car because the train's coming. So they're trying desperately to get the car off the level crossing, and so that's where we're at. The train's coming. Wow. And back at the wedding venue, Ethan and the rest of the guests have no idea of what's happened. Absolutely no idea. And Ethan, for some reason, decides to...
This is really random, this bit. This is really random. You just happen to be at the wedding venue, then you decide to pop back to the hospital.
Yes. So he manages to get a chat with his consultant, who gives him news about his Huntington's disease. He wants to say "I do" to Phoenicia, knowing exactly what is their future will hold. So whether it's good news or bad news, that's his thinking, Hannah. So yes, I know. He leaves all of his guests and drives back to Holby Hospital, has a chat with his consultant, and then he's driving back to the venue, and he has to go past the same level crossing, Hannah.
And guess what he sees? But does he realise that Phoenicia is on the track?
Well, at this point, there has been a massive accident. And
oh God.
Yes, there are 2 people down, and there are paramedics everywhere, and he sees Lev, who has been hurt. One ambulance has already left, and that's the one with Phoenicia in it. So when he comes upon the scene, he has no idea that Phoenicia has been involved or that Phoenicia has been injured, and he just sees Lev has been injured. He says, I'm an ED surgeon. He puts on his gloves and jumps in the back of the ambulance, starts shouting at the paramedics, and they get to Holby. So when will he realise that Phoenicia has been involved in this accident, and will they get their happy ending?
So what I need to work out now is who's leaving out of Casualty and whether there is any loss of life here, because otherwise I find it very tricky to sleep. I need to know.
We're going to have to watch it, but it's an absolutely brilliant episode. I had moments where I had cold shivers go down my back, and I had one moment I just had a cold shiver just went right the way down, and the ending I was just in tears. There's this lovely dance, and I was sobbing. So as I say, get your goldfish bowl of red wine out.
Well, I'll be there with a goldfish bowl of wine. That sort of thing is just horrible, because also it's the momentum, it's the build up, isn't it, to seeing this accident happening, and then it happens, and then the kind of like who survived, how they survived, what's wrong with them.
Because you had 3 people on that level crossing. You've got Phoenicia, you've got Lev helping out, and you've got Matthew. All from ED, so yes.
Wow, a massively, massively big episode. Okay, well, we're going to leave it on that. Another cliffhanger. You're going to have to watch it. Get the red wine ready is all I can say. Thank you for listening another week. And we will be back next week with some more gossip, and also to talk about the fallout of what happened in Casualty. Thanks for listening.